Dark Crimes.
Babylon and generation B8 with clean sense, uncommon, can you see straight? Freeze frames by the blockchain, the deep state, deep fake DNA. I'm mobbing with the think tank. Be on the block with the guards where the beats done. Go make a lot for a law, get your beat stung. Freeze frame, make it hard for bombers roll through. That hating energy get barbecue beef bump. You work a third every day to get the shame. Yeah, we got just like the murderers and rapists that you claim. So we burn a little sage, then we raid in your spot.
Down, nigga, get your motherfucking ass down. What that motherfucking dope at? Fuck, nigga.
Pull crime, pull crime, pull crime, slow crime, slow crime, pull crime, pull crime. Said he pull crime, pull crime, pull crime, slow crime, slow crime, pull crime, pull crime. Said he pull crime, pull crime, pull crime, slow crime, slow crime, pull crime, pull crime. Said he pull crime, pull crime, pull crime, slow crime, slow crime, pull crime. Hey, my nigga, I ain't hating, and my nigga, I ain't lazy. But I know everything that they got come from slaves. So why you tryna give me occupation? My nigga, I ain't hating, nah, and my nigga, I ain't lazy. But I know hoagies and some cold-blooded killers, rape, and thieves. So why should I be patient?
I said he pull crime, pull crime, pull crime, slow crime, slow crime, pull crime, pull crime. Said he pull crime, pull crime, pull crime, slow crime, slow crime, pull crime, pull crime. Said he pull crime, pull crime, pull crime, slow crime, slow crime, pull crime, pull crime. Said he pull crime, pull crime, pull crime, slow crime, slow crime, pull crime, pull crime. Hey, my nigga, I ain't hating. My nigga, I ain't lazy. But I know everything that they got come from slaves. So why you tryna get me occupation? My nigga, I ain't hating, nah. And my nigga, I ain't lazy. But I know hoagies and some cold-blooded killers, rape, and thieves. So why should I be patient?
Good morning and welcome to Dark Crimes. Be prepared to spend 1 hour and some change here live on TC. Grab yourself some coffee and jump into the chat. Warning: the Federal Communications Commission has determined the following content to be emotionally harmful. Snowflakes should not view this content under any circumstances, even if supervised by a G.I. Joe, Navy SEALs, Army vet, or someone with good common sense. The views and opinions expressed, including the depictions of persons of color, corrupt politicians, white people with or without a tan, haters who have yet to brush their teeth typing angrily in the comment section with hot breath syndrome, do not reflect any official policy or position of the U.S. government. This program contains graphic language, dark comedy, unique intelligence, creativity, a high credit score, and high blood pressure when triggered. This program has also been accused of racism, violence, misogyny, mansogyny, feminism, MGTOWism, defacement of celebrities, and of course, being a bully. Welcome to Thought Crimes.
Thought Crimes. What's up, everyone? This is your girl, Sincere. Good morning. Welcome to Thought Crimes. And I'm here with...
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your man, P Solo, back in the building once again. Good morning, everybody.
So we're talking about dystopic, apocalyptic type of albums and music from people in hip-hop, like Missy Elliot, DMX, Wu-Tang, Method Man, Redman, Busta Rhymes, Onyx, and so many people, Tupac, Illuminati. But also I was thinking how hip-hop has evolved, of course, with many of the forefathers and mothers, and then also the people who really influenced hip-hop. Even if we go to Michael Jackson with Thriller, where Michael Jackson changed the game completely when it comes to albums and music videos, actually having a director and a script writer be basically fused in with the album and the music itself. And then it start to make us think about, okay, what about the apocalyptic and dystopic or horror albums and music videos that we saw in hip-hop and in hip-hop history? You know, even when we're talking about DMX with his debut album and what he was able to bring to the table, even when you're talking about, you know, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, or even when you're talking about amazing artists like MF Doom, and just how we're lacking a bit of that, you know, lately. I even feel like a lot of people who are making the alternative hip hop sound right now should learn from some of the 90s artists, and, you know, even learn from the king of pop, Michael Jackson himself, when it comes to bringing that element in. For example, even when I think about Playboi Carti, who does this emo, alternative hip hop, punk scene that he has going on, goth, you know, he usually, you know, posts it up in the corner with, you know, a cup, and, you know, he's drinking whatever is in that cup, and he's vibing to his sound and all that in the music video. But I was wondering, like, why not turn it into a mini film, even a short mini film? Because I think people would be, you know, interested, even if it's cheesy. You know, maybe Playboi Carti shows himself turning into a vampire, or, you know, maybe it's like some Mad Max dystopic future, or like even, you know, when we're talking about Molly Santana, you know, maybe we could get some of that as well, because she already have a nice feel when it comes to her music videos. Like Prince said earlier when he broke down her music and her mixtape, you know, she already has a great eye for cinematography and the people that she chose to help her envision her music videos. But we're actually talking about, like, again, like a small short film, like what we got with Thriller with Michael Jackson, and how that was able to influence hip-hop greatly. But because we did start to see a bit of that, even when we're talking about Tupac, California, where we basically see this dystopic Mad Max world, and you see Pac and Dr. Dre and the rest of them trying to survive this whole chaotic scene. And I would love just to see that some more. We also did get that with Busta. We got that a lot of times with Busta Rhymes, you know, when it came to also the music and the albums that he put down, because he's really into dystopic future type of music, and also albums as well. When you look at his body of work, even beyond just Extinction, but you can even look at the stuff he came out with, The Common in 1996, and then also When the Disaster Strike, and And I just want that feeling a little bit added to some of the contemporary sound. I think that there are people sonically going in the right direction, but I think they're being a little bit limited and they're not thinking big enough. You know, even what we got with Biggie's sophomore album, you know, that had that Hitchcock feel to it. And, you know, a lot of people were surprised that Biggie went in that direction with Life After Death. But it's something that had that horror feel to it. You know, it had that Hitchcock feel to it. And I just love that type of diversity. Even what we got with 4321, you know, with Method Man, Redman, LL Cool J, Cannabis, and some of the remixes. You also got DMX, and you get Master P. And I just want people to have fun again. Like, we're artists here. You know, there should be no limitations. We should definitely explore. Even when we're talking about Onyx. Now, and yes, I'm bringing up Onyx because I feel like they also play into this. Now, of course, they had like a booger flicking aspect to them. A bit of a frat boys. It almost remind me of Ed, and Eddie, actually, when I think of Onyx and their music and their sound. But even when you look at, you know, the album Back the Fuck Up, or if you're talking about All We Got Is Us, these are classic albums to me that provide an interesting, like, Lost Boys, Ed, and Eddie, but dystopic future type of vibe to it. And again, it just would be interesting if people just, you know, bring that type of imagination back in contemporary times when it comes to music and what's going on. I would also like to know, like, for you, Prince, what is your favorite dystopic or apocalyptic type of album in hip hop?
You know, that's a great selection there, Sin, and I think, you know, it's a good question. It's a very good question too, by the way, because you get so many people that, for the most part, I think, you know, in this era, I don't know if it's really thinking about too much of what could that be, you know, as far as like sound and delivery. I don't even know if it's really crossing people's minds. And I think also because it's so many different people coming in with different taste buds. I just think people kind of gravitate on what they like. Now, where I do agree with you 100% is that, I mean, you got your Don Tollivers, you got your Ken Carsons, you got Future still running around here, and you have Denzel Curry, you know, Tia Corinne, we talked about Molly Santana, and we kind of get into that space where people are openly embracing their darkness too, by the way. And I'm seeing a lot of that right now. But as far as favorite, I would have to say, as far as the favorite aspect goes, the Machiavelli album is definitely at the top for me, you know, just because the whole energy surrounding it. And I always felt like, you know, Life After Death and the 7-Day Theory with Machiavelli, Tupac, I actually think they're part of the same book, just different chapters. But if we kind of go a little bit upward sonically, I always thought Jeezy's first major debut album, Thug Motivation, TM 101, I thought it had a very dark overtone. It was kind of like a bit of some urban street horrorcore. I think, could he have leaned in more of it? Yeah, but it did give me Tales from the Hood energy. He was able to tell dark narrations. On top of that, I think some aspects of it with 50 Cent, you know, I actually kind of looked at like, you know, if you kind of flip it, like 50 Cent technically was like a gangster zombie nigga back from the dead. He was almost like a nigga crow. You know, he's trying to get revenge on his foes and things of that nature. But outside of that, I gotta give it to Mobb Deep. Havoc is to me one of the greatest engineers, metal fingers, when it comes to arranging horror and death through music. And I'm just talking about the sound of it, you know, music to murder by, basically. And I've actually seen on the B side of the game, I think Jean Grey does very well with experimental horror lyrics, not necessarily horrorcore, but being able to arrange it in a manner where you can sound menacing. And I think that's another thing too, because I definitely want to hear your perspective of it. There's not too many people that can really give menacing like what we saw with, of course, Tupac. Biggie Smalls had a very menacing baritone, overtone, his delivery. Even when he was talking about, somebody's got to die. If I got to go, you got to go, and one thing I did like about Biggie as an MC, as an artist, he always knew how to build anticipation. And I think he was one of the best MCs to actually be able to journalize Thriller, like a thriller situation, the heartbeat, the blood pulsing. I don't think anybody can do as much description concerning fear as I've seen with Biggie Smalls. And, with that, I would have liked to see some more acts play more into that. Now, I think we are getting some of that sonically. I think, a lot of guys are kind of on their edgelord stuff. It's a very few people that can do it. You guys may disagree with me or you may agree with me. If Molly Santana gets like some direction, or maybe she grows into her own artist, I'm just saying, because all of these artists, they can use maestro somewhere. But I actually think with her heavier voice, I actually think she can definitely deliver like Halloween style soundtrack somewhere. I think, if she gets more into narration, this is just speaking to people of the contemporary time, because we're kind of bouncing around, or at least I am. But I also think Big Pun was another menacing MC on the microphone. And I don't think we got a chance to see him do more of those things. But on the Capital Punishment album, he's leaning right into a lot of aggressive narrations and deadly narrations on top of that.
I agree with what you stated, and that was a great, breakdown. I think also Ice Cube is another one. Very commanding voice and presence. Even America's Most Wanted or Death Certificate. He's also someone, which is why I wasn't surprised when he got into film and he also started acting. It made perfect sense to me. And even LL Cool J as well. I think it's variety here. Like, when you talk about LL or Missy Elliot, people sometimes may not think about dystopic energy or apocalyptic, but if you think about Super Duper Fly, that album had so many like dope, buttery, smooth type of futuristic energy and flow to it. Even the tracks where her and DeBrad and all that. I love that album, by the way, from Missy Elliott. And it's something that she also continued in the future, even when you had other albums that she came out with, even with the cookbook and all that, where she still keeps that type of energy infused with her music and with her albums. So thinking about what you said about the diversity of it, like we're talking about people who had commanding voices like Biggie, Pac, DMX, Big Pun, Ice Cube, Mobb Deep as a amazing duo, or even people who it was a more angsty punk rock frat boy type of energy, like what we're talking about with Onyx here. And that's the beauty. Even if we're going into the Fugees, the score is something that falls into that type of element as well. Sometimes the album was haunting. Sometimes it went into espionage, which is so funny because Pras, the whole time Pras was a fucking spy, and the score had elements of espionage into it.
Stupid when you think about it.
Come on, man.
No, you're right. It's pretty stupid when you think about it. But that is a good point, Sin. And no, I agree with you. Another one that definitely comes down to mind for me was growing up and always hearing the 3-6 Mafia and the production, with Juicy J and DJ Paul, like just a sound that was different coming out of Hypnotize records. And I just think to the point when we talk about like diversity, we know that like the all stars of it is, of course, like we talk about with DMX, you got Pac, you got Biggie, but I think when people think about like menacing, because sometimes these guys aren't really doing horrorcore themes, or they're not intentionally trying to be scary, but their voice just sounds menacing. Like Prodigy's voice always sounds menacing to me. It just doesn't matter what he could be. Prodigy could have been rapping about when I go in the restroom and I'm looking for my toothbrush. Like, it just always sounds menacing. To me, similar in the same vein as like Scarface. Now, Scarface always did have like dark tales. I think one of the creepier and beautiful, but still creepy songs is Smiles, which the posthumous vocals with Tupac was on there. And then, of course, the video kind of gave you like some Candyman type stuff. And I always felt like Scarface was narrating, or he could have been a narrator for Candyman.
I agree with you. The best of hip hop, it is a multi-purpose tool. So the best of hip hop, this is why it's never weird when you see hip hop go into acting. Even when you have, I can't remember one of the Onyx ones with the one who he made all them annoying Brandy comments, but he was also starring in Moesha. But when you see hip hop is very diverse and versatile at a high artistic level, at its best when it comes to expression. This is why so many of them, even when you're talking about Queen Latifah, LL Cool J, Will Smith, Tupac, this is why Ice Cube is so easy for them to go into film. This is even the people who come from hip hop culture, like John Singleton and the rest of them, who was able to go out there and be directors. That's why, like, to me, I'm saying like we need that right now in contemporary times for people to realize you are a creator, create. And then also the humor aspect. Like, Old Dirty Bastard, like he's up in here too. Or Wu-Tang, they would add humor, dark comedy to their stuff. And then also we got to give it to RZA with the dark production. RZA did amazing production for Wu-Tang and a lot of their classic work and classic albums. Even if you're talking about, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, of course, adding their love for martial arts. Because I know with my dad, being a 90s baby, my father was big on a lot of the old school martial arts films. And you can see that infused with Wu-Tang, along with the dystopic future, the grimy, the versatility. Some of them come with the dark humor aspect and slapstick comedy like Old Dirty Bastards. Some of them coming with that whole commanding of the voice and grittiness. Or, also with metaphysics, if you talk about GZA. So, Wu-Tang is definitely in there with bringing that type of energy. And that's why I'm saying, like, this field is very wide. Busta Rhymes, he always had comedy mixing with apocalyptic themes. Even to this day, that's something he likes to go into. And I feel like Busta Rhymes, personally, he's at his best when he's doing science fiction, dystopic future, apocalyptic themes, but then adding it in there with, like, a love story, or partnering up with R&B artists like Mariah Carey and Janet Jackson was where he's really in his bag. So, and also with Missy Elliot with her own, singing, rapping type of style. I just love it when hip hop is showing the best of itself, because people have to remember it's an amalgamation of like all different types of genres in one. People forget you have Michael Jackson, Prince Roger Nelson, James Brown, George Clinton, Angie Stone, who started off in singing and stuff, but she also was a rapper. So she was also very important in the creation and elevation of hip hop. Earth, Wind and Fire, Kool in the Game. So hip hop already with its origins have had such a Screaming Jay Hawkins. It has such a diverse palette because you're taking from jazz, you're taking from R&B, you're taking from soul, you're taking from ragtime, you're taking from hard rock and metal and all these different things. So fast forward to the best elements of hip hop. The best elements of hip hop is a multi-purpose tool, a multi-tool where it could go in any direction. And when we're talking about horror or dystopic futures or apocalyptic, like the people we naming even right now, it's completely completely different styles. Even when you talk about Super from Missy Elliot and how smooth it was, but it was science fiction and dystopic, but it's like homegirls hanging out. You know, it's very diverse because her version was like very chill and laid back. And like even a lot of the people that you brought up were like 3 6 Mafia. Some of them like right in your face, like grungy, dirty with it. Some of them very polished and commanding. And then also I'm glad that you brought up Scarface, because he's definitely in the mix with this, along with MF Doom, who MF Doom also had storytelling, comedy, also his love of comic books. And you can't forget about Ghostface Killer, you know. So yeah, it's really nice to just see this type of diversity in hip-hop, which I think sonically we do have diversity in hip-hop even right now. I just want them to take that step further and give us that visual performance, give us some, you know, dope black directors to come into the scene in hip-hop and really do their thing.
No, actually, I do agree with you, 100% on that one. The only thing for me, I think I like the sounds that they're bringing. Like I said, I mentioned some of the contemporary guys. I think the most artistic of the new contemporary dark warlord spaces probably would be Denzel Curry. I'm going to be honest with you. Probably would be Denzel Curry. I like just a lot of the rhyme schemes, themes, things of that nature. But I would like to see more storytelling, though. I just don't feel we get enough storytelling, with some of the darker energy, and and it's crazy because, like, where are the menacing stories? You get what I'm saying? Like, even Nas, people sleep on Nas. Nas has a great track record for like telling sinister, dark narrative tales. Look, I'm not telling everybody that, you need to join Club Goosebumps. But what I am saying is, like, okay, we get it. We're post-drill era. We've seen how many ops smoke on ops, and that was a living horror fest right there. But just on the more artier side, if I can even give you that energy, even Mr. Kick Push himself, Lupe Fiasco, when he did The Cool, and you get to the album title song, it's literally about a half dead man, and things that he went back to his old block and he saw things had changed. He had been dead for so long. Like, I just don't really know if we get it that much today in the art, in the storytelling. We get it in the Sonics. Future is still doing his Baron Lacroix stuff. Kendrick has told some stories, like, on Sing For Me. It was really like a kind of a optimistic kind of hood horror story, though. You get what I'm saying? So there's diversity, because I don't want people to get confused and think like, you gotta, be rapping upside down with, vampire fangs in your mouth. Now that's an aspect of it. And there are some artists that can really do that. But one artist that I do think can hover along that line too, of that, going from comedy, like you said, with, ODB, is Redman, because Redman has told some horror stories on some of his records as well, or he's turned some light moments into some sinister moments too, because I think people sleep on Redman, that he does a very good job of quick mood shifts. Like, it'll be something random and out of the way. You're like, oh, I didn't see the story getting this dark. We was just laughing at the beginning. And another person that you brought up very well is Busta Rhymes. Now, Busta Rhymes with Extinction Level Event, ELE. I think he did a sequel to it. I actually think the sequel is better than the first version of ELE. That's the one where, had the Belle Biv DeVoe remix on there, and brought in another duo who gets slept on with that, is MOP. Their Warriors album has a lot of that, I think, other realm, or the outer realm, like Mortal Kombat energy that they normally have too, by the way. It's crazy seeing, like, even us, like, going through this, it's so much diversity and so many angles in hip hop that I think people kind of forget to talk about, and we kind of just get stuck on what a rapper did, you know, more the tabloid salacious things. And I get it, it's social media, people had to participate in things a lot of times if they choose to, but there's incredible levels of depth and field that goes on with storytelling. And to the point of what you're saying, I would like to see more direction. I would like to see more open space. But for me, I'm really big on storytelling. Some of my favorite MCs are incredible journalists. They're incredible narrators. We've seen it with, you know, again, Nas, DMX. They got a ribbon for the top. They got a ribbon for you at the top of the stair. I was there. You didn't die at the top of the stairs. Like, DMX's voice already sounds menacing, but when he tells stories, and even if you have a menacing voice, but he's telling something light and humorous, you burst out laughing because it sounds so stupid, right? But I just feel the storytelling element of the lyricism I just don't feel that it's there. That's just my honest opinion. The sonics are there. Like, we can get dark, menacing production from a lot of different people. Even the late, great Take Keith, I thought he did good. I would have liked to see an MC use the atmosphere he built sonically to tell some of these more menacing stories. Not just gunplay. Like, I get it, guys do tell gunplay menacing stories, but I like to see them to be more creative with their lyricism too.
Yeah, I would even say that Tyler the Creator, his most recent work is falling into that. I like how more polished his work has gone, whether he's going in the party direction or storytelling direction. I've been loving him really focusing on that. I also would say, you know, I would like to see more videos from The Fall Off. I think The Fall Off is a good album. I really love it. I think it's, my personal opinion is J. Cole's, you know, best work besides Forest Hill Drive. And I would like to see a more dedication there when it comes to how the, you know, videos are structured. You know, 2-6 wasn't bad. I thought 2-6 was visually nice, and I thought he would build up more for that, off of that. You know, so I would like to see J. Cole, even with the Fall Off album, give some more visuals, give some more videos. The two videos that I like, you know, that he did come out with, I thought they were pretty good. Like, even the one where he's talking, you know, backwards through time and forward and time traveling Cole, right? GNX, which is like it's like a gangland underworld type of album. I would have loved to see him in AZ Chike and Peekaboo. I think that's a great song, fun song. I would love to see that more. And then also with Drake, with Iceman, I love the track Whisper My Name. And it's my favorite video that he has out of all the other videos he did on Iceman. Whisper My Name visually is stunning. The song is hot. And I also hope he comes with more of that energy for Scary Hours 4. I know allegedly it's supposed to be Conductor on there. And also he's supposed to have like some Charleston White skits. But the whole Whisper My Name type of energy, I hope he brings more of that energy, drama, and even bring visuals. Yes, more visuals even for that particular project. I also hope to see that with It's a Boy, with J. Cole. And then also Kendrick, where he's possibly going to be going with it. He could drop towards the end of this year or beginning of next year. But he may be going with an alternative, you know, sound that we've seen from Denzel Curry, or we know we saw him play with it a little bit with I Am Music when he was featured on the tracks with Playboi Carti. He may come for a more gritty New York sound like DMX. That's what Night Night believes. He's going to come with something like that to really, you know, capture the public's attention, you know. And he also said that he's coming with The Heart Part 7. But the whole point is, who's been in this direction, but in a more melodic way. Of course, you can't forget about Ye, my dark, twisted fantasy, my beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy. And also Donda. You know, you saw him going more on that Heaven or Hell, which is my favorite song on Donda. And I love the visuals on there. Or even when we're talking about Baby Keem, when we're talking about the album Casino, just certain sounds sonically that I really did like from Casino that I hope he explores more when it comes plug, you know, if you can, be independent, because there are already a lot of programs and things out. So, and I also want Playboy Cardi to pick up a little bit from Abel. The Weeknd and Playboy Cardi have great chemistry, but you see how much effort a lot of the times Abel puts into his music videos. I will hope, and also let me clarify, Playboy Cardi music videos, they're not ugly, but they're nice looking, but they're just him again, drink from a cup, leaning and vibing, which is nice. But it will be interesting if he adds some skits or some storytelling into that as well. But we'll see what happens.
No, I can see that. It's funny that you bring up Playboy Cardi. I actually think there's a lot of just on speaking as an artist for on the artistic front. I do think there is a lot of unused potential there, and you got to give it to The Weeknd. The Weeknd, look, people can say whatever they want to say about The Weeknd, but what he does with storytelling, themes, character development, I mean, for God's sakes, the man even puts on the makeup, all right? He puts on the mask, he gets it going, and he shows you why he stands out. I like Don Toliver's voice. I believe the album before the most recent one I was listening to was Hardcore. It was pretty cool. I think St. John, he does a great job of treading into that territory as well. It's funny because some of the melodic fellas and a few of the ladies, they kind of get the point a little bit quicker. I just think I would like to see more of that from the rappers in the sense of breadth of a body of work. I always felt like the Clips did that. I always felt like they were two twin demons, that were coming out of a hood horror. That's what I always felt with them. Even how they speak, they clearly got their staccato and their flow scheme pattern wise off of Biggie Smalls. So I do consider them Biggie babies. Well, they probably would have been the same age, but you guys get my point in rap. Though the way they rap, very menacing, very sinister, very distinct, very succinct in that process as well. And
I thought they would have had more music videos for Let God Sort Them Out. Missed opportunity there. Let God Sort Them. Let God Sort Them Out. Man, I thought there would be way more music videos to that. Even with the budget that they had, I thought, the few videos and visuals they had out was nice. I would have loved for them to have had more.
I actually thought we was. That is something weird because not trying to be funny. The albums I wanted to see more videos from, I didn't get them, and that was GNX and Let God Sort Them Out. I think with J. Cole, I think we got three videos, and Drake he did a video for every song on Iceman.
I think people underestimated giving Drake credit about how much effort he put into the videos. I thought his final episode was visually stunning. Yeah. The work and I will look them up because I like to give the cinematographers credit, and the directors and everybody worked on it. Everybody who visually worked on Iceman in episode 4, they did an amazing job. Again, the highlight to me is still Whisper My Name. That's fucking cool video, cool ass song, but he went all out.
Yeah, no, he did. I think it was a pretty strong body of work, given that all of the videos he was able to film. Even the last track, I believe it was Make Them Pay at the end, and it has his own haunting because the album does have a very haunting energy on it. So it's kind of give you that thing that some darker industry shit is going on.
Even the album cover.
Yeah,
he's he basically coming out of the grave with his arm in his hand.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations. But overall, no, I would have liked to have seen more videos from GNX. I would have liked to have seen more videos from Let God Sort Them Out. They hate just anything, but
46, that would have been a nice one.
Yeah, I just think, I think sound wise, the energy and the instrumentation is there. Like the producers and the engineers, they're bringing their A game, because sonically, this is some of the most unique sounds we've experienced. And in fact, it's other genres of music for the past, I would say, since Shawty Red, post Drummer Boy, to Young Chop, even our boy DJ, and some other, Take Keith, now passed away, Take Keith.
Lex.
Right? Lex Luger. I think ever since that, I think a lot of other subgenres or other genres have been picking up from rap music sonically, because even Chris Martin from Coldplay said something. He said what they're doing with sound in rap and hip hop, he felt it was some of the most unique things he ever. And this is Chris Martin from Coldplay, and he said he's had to lightly incorporate some of those sonic aesthetics into Coldplay's music. And the reason why I'm just saying that, a lot of the producers have been showing up for the past
Metro.
10 years.
I still love Heroes and Villains. I hope he could get into that again. That was a grand production.
Yeah, Heroes and Villains, and We Don't Trust You, and I like We Don't Trust You too, but I really did enjoy We Don't Trust You. I do feel I just honestly, my personal opinion, and I really think a lot of the rappers overall, I think they could show up more. I think they could do some really unique things, while the eyes are on them. Hell, somebody film Mad Max video or something. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Megan Thee Stallion does with Carl Jones with her anime. And also, I liked Hiss. Like the video
Hiss was good. It was good.
I like also the fusion style, what she did with Houston and a lot of the Japanese artists in Japan. I thought that was a good look for her. And some of the videos also were really nice, with the anime fusion, also with her love for games, and then also mixed in with the whole Houston style. I thought that was like with Act 1 and 2. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, so, the fantastic work, and I will be looking forward to seeing what Megan Thee Stallion does. Now, Megan, though, we didn't mention, she has overtly played around with Halloween themes. She does, clearly she really enjoys Halloween, and she enjoys cosplaying as well. So, I just think, I think some of them can kind of pick up a little more from The Weeknd. They can pick up a little bit more from even some of the legends like, with Wu-Tang, RZA, Gravediggers, even Big L, Big Pun. Like, we can go through the whole list. Lady of Rage. Like, Lady of Rage can do some menacing stuff as well. I just feel like
Missy Elliot and Busta, what they did visually.
Oh, yeah.
They changed the game up. Like you said, people could definitely step that game up.
Step that game up a little bit.
And incorporate it into contemporary times. But even this conversation, it always, every time you're ready to throw hip hop in the trash in the dumpster can, these type of things make you happy, fall in love with hip hop, all over again. Even when you have DMX and Ja Rule and Jay-Z, the songs they had together, it would have been really fucking dope if we had got more music from them. Even just a couple of EPs, a couple of albums before breaking up. That would have been nice, even the squads, Rough Riders, listening to even, Master P and No Limit did some of this stuff, but it was more party basketball leaning type thing, but it was fun nonetheless, I do think that people just need to put in effort for whatever their it factor is. You don't have to be like the next guy, but whatever your factor is, incorporate it. Also, Glorilla has such an amazing voice. I even liked the energy between her and Pooh Shiesty. But even the hood niggas, put effort. I don't care that you supposed to be a street dude from Memphis, Tennessee. I feel like Pooh Shiesty and Glorilla need to, with their collaboration, I would like to see some really dope videos as well.
You're right about that. And speaking of that, again, I love the think tank. But y'all know when I made that post about the Glorious album, some of y'all was really trying to cook like Prince. What's going on? I'm disappointed. I said, the girl's got a very powerful voice. Her vocal cords are platinum. I think she can, you can throw her in any lane vocally, and people got to understand, like, rap music has some of the most diverse vocal cord arrangements out of any genre. There's so many men and women walking around here with very fucking unique voices.
Oh, explain.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're going to get cooked for that one. What do you mean out of any genre, Prince? More than jazz and some other...
No, I'm talking about just vocal led. I'm not talking about singing. I'm not talking about making R&B music, soul music, because I know how people are. They're like, what you trying to say?
No,
right?
but I'm thinking about, even when you talk about vocal capabilities, I think about Louis Armstrong. I think about Sarah Vaughan. I think about how they didn't, not just singing, but they would use their voice as like instruments and do unique things and stuff like that.
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying that is because, like, even if we just go from like somebody like Kamaya to Nate Dogg, like just even the tonality and the texture of their voices, I do think rap music, particularly rap musicians, and maybe that's because too many corporate heads have been running these people's careers, I think rappers, a lot of times when I'm listening to their vocal dexterity, I do feel like there's very low utilization of it. I think there's a lot of guys and a lot of women that they really could be putting their stuff to better use. We do.
Rappers be a little bit too lazy for me to give them that title, though. I felt like through jazz, even like with Screaming Jay Hawkins, even though he would go into rock, but he was also jazz. I feel like they utilize, like, where you're talking about where it does have potential. I do agree it has potential, but like they actually did it.
But that's my point, though. That's why I said they do have the diversity there, but like I said, it's very low utilization. I think there's a low utility factor there, and like for me personally, I even think like narrative wise, like just some of the stuff that we've seen them put certain artists to, I just don't think. I think we lean too much into pop, and I think too much chart chasing. I think a lot of the chart chasing has distorted a lot of the vocal capabilities of these people, just as MCs and spoken word poets. Because we still have a lot of poets running around, but people are opting into chasing the charts. So, like, even when you bring up Pooh Shiesty, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. There were people that came from Aretha Franklin era, and they heard DMX. They said, ugh, what is this? What is this boy doing? He's singing, or what is he trying to do? DMX was able to take that unique voice of his and do something like Hell is Hot, or when he did the Damien track. And we're talking about concept and thing. This goes back to the earlier point of what I'm saying, is that if you look at somebody like The Weeknd comes in with a new theme every album. He comes in with a new character. He does mirror Kendrick in that way, to me personally. Like they're new characters every album, right? DMX was able to be very strong with storytelling, and he kept you captivated, kept you plugged in. You could have a guy or a girl that's very unique with their voice today, but it's kind of like chasing low-hanging fruit.
That's
you get what I'm saying?
That's why I don't give it to them. I give it to jazz.
That's what I was just saying.
Because of that. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's all I was just saying. Well, that was my initial point. My initial point was just saying that there's too many unique voices sound-wise, like speaking voices, rapping voices, rhyming voices, even light narrative voices.
Because I feel like jazz did all of that. Cab Calloway, the theatrics, the Duke Ellington, Screaming Jay Hawkins, Nina Simone, they played in it, they did it, and they did it to like the fullest extent. They didn't leave no crumbs on the plate.
The discipline is different, though. You're gonna get that. Plus, let's be real. For a long time, they considered jazz just simply race music. So you didn't get this thing where you have it today. Because even by the time we get to DMX and that whole Jay-Z and Ja Rule era, rap had become, it became pop already. It already went pop. And what I mean is like literally post Run DMC, and we're going into like 98, 99, post Death Row, post Bad Boy. So it became just about chart. Even listen to what Swiss Beats said about DMX, to stop, da 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 da. He said DMX hated that record. And Swiss said to DMX, bro, we need a single to get on the chart. And DMX said, I don't want to do records like that. He says, you just got to do this one time. Even what you bring up with jazz, which I do agree with, you know, there was a good period of jazz where people didn't come to them and say, we need a single for the charts. And I just think that's what really undercuts the potential with rap music and what we talk about beyond just simply storytelling and things like that. It's actually kind of at times got a great narrator like Nas in Trouble. You know, yeah, it's a fun record, You Owe Me Ice, but if you listen to that entire album, I believe You Owe Me Ice is from Nostradamus, saying he's doing a fantastic job of telling these incredible stories, and then you hit this one bad note here. It's a funny video, but it's like, it reminds you like rap is pop at the end of the day. You know, you can only get that like at something at this level where you have these great, beautiful tales. He's got dope songs with Ron Isley on there. They didn't make that a single. They did the one where Homeboy was dancing like a stripper in the video.
Genuine. Well, I would like pop is not all the way back because pop is just, you know, popular music, and we got to remember, I don't use pop as a slur because Michael Jackson is the king of pop. I just know, like, to your point, if it gets too sterilized, then there's a problem. Like if we're talking about, you know, you're doing like some Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift type stuff, then okay, you know, then we're starting to get a little bit corny. But you know, popular as in popular music, you know, king of pop is Michael Jackson, Prince, Roger Nelson, pop. There's aspects of Janet Jackson's career that goes into pop, and her catalog was still strong, even though I love Velvet Rope. That's when she was getting more of that alternative contemporary R&B, also like a little bit more darker element bag in her game, which I really sonically love that album. It's my favorite Janet Jackson album. But the chasing things though, I like what you said there, because something could be popular or pop and be fantastic, but it's like it's the chasing. Let it happen organically, and sometimes even if you have a team, like, let it flow, because sometimes artists don't want to do a song, and the people around them, it actually end up being good, because yeah, DMX didn't want to do that damn song, but he didn't sound bad on it, and it still fit on the album well. It didn't take away or sounded stupid on the album. So I also say that's sometimes where you like support your team, because a lot of artists do be, it's funny, a lot of artists do be saying like the song that they didn't like, not the execs, that they're team members, like people who be like producer, they're like, no, experiment with this sound or do this, is usually the sound that hit off. Like even when we talking about the Google Dolls, and they were like a punk rowdy band, and then they slowed it down and did something different, and that's like the biggest hits on their catalog. But it's not that it's just only the biggest hit, it's actually some fucking good songs.
Well, you got two parts of the pop, right? And this is you're right about that, but this is what I'm talking about. Corporate pop, you know, you can tell when it's corporate induced. It's what we've seen with Sabrina Carpenter. You know, like they will tell you that this is popular, and then you might go in the streets and people's like, I never heard that record before. And that happens all the time. No, rap music has been fractionalized into that. You know, there was a time where somebody would do something like legitimate, let's say, I don't know, they come out the backwoods of Marcy, they come out the backwoods of Jersey or Atlanta or Chicago, and it's caused pandemonium everywhere, like organically, naturally, and it becomes popular. That's all they're referencing, you know, because there were popular records that popped up out of jazz, but
I put a spell on you from Screaming Jay Hawkins.
But there is fractionalization that happens in all genres of music at some point when there's a budget put into it.
What do you think about Damn? Because that Damn had the controversy where people saying it went too pop, but it was the album sounded amazing.
I disagree with them. I think those are people that wanted to feel holier than thou. You know, I think Damn was naturally a popular record. I think Kendrick was able to write something that was a nice hybrid, because he did learn his lesson from To Pimp a Butterfly, because he From what I recall, I remember, I don't think he was satisfied initially with the original sales of To Pimp a Butterfly when everybody was still, running around with the Migos. They weren't bad or anything, but some people just they was not in the mood for To Pimp a Butterfly. But when he came back with Damn, I thought it spoke very well to his creative quotient, his creative intelligence.
They had pop songs on there still, and they still were amazing songs. That's why I'm just saying, like, pop doesn't. I think people have talked about pop too much in this, trying to make it seem like being pop is bad. It's not. To the point you made is about when you let executive poison an album.
Yeah, that's the corporate stuff.
Because remember, there's some corporate suits who told people to do something, and it do be an ass song, and the artist regret it. Which is different from another artist saying, "Yo, experiment with the sound, fuse, do something different," and then it's hot.
Some people just got their code to be popular, And you gotta remember, and this is across boards. Period. If you become pop or popular, there's going to be by default a counterculture. It's just what it is. Even amongst the Kendrick niggas. Like, there were niggas that was like, bro, I want him to go back to Pimp a Butterfly. Like, why is he doing this? Loyalty. I knew some people that didn't like the record.
Majority want him to go back to the Good Kid, Mad City.
Then when he went to Mr. Morale, people wanted him to go back to Damn. You get what I'm saying? So it's just that's the weight of having a large audience. And I think personally, I don't get too bent out of shape about it because, look, there's going to be popular waves in hip hop and any other genres that you're not into. There's look.
It happened with Take Care with Drake. Yeah, a lot of people at that time, they clowned it, and then years later they're like, "Oh my God, this is a classic album."
People I knew a lot of people like when Pretty Ricky popped. There was people that was really into it. I liked a few of their songs, but I didn't want to hear the whole album of them, right? But I knew people that they was just into the wave, and that's just what it is. I knew older people that when Michael Jackson's Thriller album came out, one guy I knew, he was a much older guy. He said he was the only kid in the neighborhood that didn't wear a Thriller jacket, and he said he thought everybody was corny. Right at the time, but he said, but Michael Jackson's Thriller was everywhere. You get what I'm saying? So you're gonna have that. So I don't think it take anything personal. But with rap music, though, to the point that we kind of both hedging here when you bring up jazz or you bring up Screaming Jay Hawkins, rap music it can be it can be cheapened in a way where people are kind of being lazy a lot of times, and it happened in rock and roll when rock and roll reached this global status, and they were using it to sell everything like Coca-Cola and stuff. So it just depends. DMX was able to do something different. He had this authentic flair about him, but he was very popular. Everybody pretty much knew who he was. Same thing with Kendrick. And you've seen those elements with J. Cole being the most successful backpack rapper, because Kanye West dropped the title. He says, look, I was using that to get to a certain point, but J. Cole on paper is the most successful backpack rapper. And he's had a few missteps along the way too, by the way. But anyway, just going back to the original situation here, just, I definitely would like to see, more of the guys show a little bit more effort with lyricism and bringing storytelling into some of these darker sonics and productions that we got right now. Yeah, so like I said, one other thing I really would like for the rappers to take grander risk with just storytellings on the deep cuts. Not all the times they have to turn it into a hit. I do think Drake is able to play around with having some of that energy sonically with his in-house production. I believe Boy Wonder, again, the late Tate Keith, which was, they did fantastic on Sicko Mode. Also, Travis Scott don't get mentioned in all of this as well. He does a lot of wonderful work when it comes to that type of stuff with the being able to lay out the atmosphere for like a sinister atmosphere, giving you some Halloween type energy as well. And Drake's Dark Lane tape, the War Joint, was able to kind of capture that energy. I like what I saw from there. And I believe even on If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, I thought he captured a lot of that, you know, company, even like how they with him between, it's something that Drake and Travis Scott does when they get together, that they're able to flip the moods too. So like on the first part of Company, there was like a longing, a haunting, and there was some confusion. Like, you know, you wanted the woman around, but you needed your space. But then he's being haunted by the idea that I still need some company. And then Travis Scott flips it. He comes in on the other end and he's just saying he's a dog and all this other stuff. And I thought that energy was pretty good. What they did when they teamed up on Meltdown, very haunting energy as well. And that's all through Iceman. Again, talking about the industry, then what's going on with him emotionally. Where's he becoming dark at himself? And even ending the album off the way he did, feels like he says, you know, as far as you won't be seeing the innocence anymore. You don't really get too many rap albums that kind of end off on a cliffhanger like they used to. You know, I used to see, or I would hear that from guys that was really active and they were trying to leave you with an open-ended finisher. Kind of like, I'll give you an example. If you go back to Biggie Smalls' Ready to Die, right? And then you begin off with Life After Death, and it says last time on Ready to Die, right? You know, I think it feels like Iceman, my honest opinion, it feels like a sequel is coming somewhere. And to kind of leave that energy out there, the way it was filmed, Whisper My Name, the Pinocchios, they did look more menacing because now the niggas was actually loading up shotguns in this one. So you're like, okay, they got some bite here. But I think Drake has tapped into it a lot sonically. I think him, his production staff with, you know, OVO 40, and then what we're talking about with, again, Tay Keith. I think that created a lot of wonderful sonics that you can lay the visuals to as well. So I do think in their own unique fashion, I think each member of the big three has participated in that sinister energy or darker productions. And again, I know people, you know, we talk about the Memphis Boys. Memphis Boys, they're like the kings of dark production. But I just feel, I just actually would like to see some more like deeper storytelling. I think we're going to get that from Jid, my honest opinion. I really believe we're going to get that from Jid. You're going to get like an R&B joint, but I do think Jid is going to deliver a dark masterpiece somewhere.
You know, also, when you talk about Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion, you know, with Juice WRLD, it's almost like a Phantom of the Opera. I would say X had a bit of that too. XXXTentacion had that Phantom of the Opera type of energy, and both of them can rap. They can rap. We talk about Chicago and Florida, you know, Illinois and Florida in the building, right? But going back to what you said, Dark Lane demo tapes. With Drake, it is the ambient, haunting type of sound that he does well with when we're talking about this category. Because it's not really like that rah-rah. Like when we talked about the diversity of it, like with Denzel Curry and all that. So it's also, I do like it, like what you said, when people interpret certain sounds in their own way and in the style that works for them. And then just basically, you know, ending it off here, like, I'm just excited to see where hip-hop is going to go. And also what people are going to do with it. You know, again, when we're talking about the music that is coming out sonically, it's good. But it would be nice to see some more visual efforts in music videos. You know, and also in the next projects from all the artists, Baby Keem, I thought visually his episodes or what he did with the stage performance, where it's definitely, you know, it's picking up off of Ye with what he did with Donda. I think visually what Baby Keem did with Casino was very beautiful as well, and the people who worked on it. And it's going to be interesting to see where everybody goes, where the block era artist goes with their next bodies of works that they have coming down the pipeline. with a lot of the OGs in the game, still doing their thing. I will be. If Jay-Z does drop Reasonable Doubt 2, I am going to be extremely interested to see sonically where he goes with it. Oh, and people are going to be like, don't forget about Eminem. They're going to be like, with Eminem show, I think the Eminem show did these dark themes way better than Marshall Mathers LP.
I actually like Eminem show because it was less of the horrorcore rap. I'm not talking about like him covering dark themes and that, but I've seen a lot of people who usually try to do like overt horrorcore in rap. I just haven't been the biggest fan of it. I think the person that was able to pull it off probably the best, Tech Nine. I think Tech Nine has been able to do that. I do think parts of Eminem's catalog, I think he does it very well. So I would be remiss without saying that. I've listened to the Marshall Mathers LP twice. It's not my cup of tea, but I do think his rhyme scheme and cadence, I don't feel that was overrated. When I remember first hearing it, I was like, no, he can really rhyme.
You feel you should have did more, Stan. That was beautiful, Stan. That was beautiful.
Yeah,
storytelling, like to your point, why couldn't you give us more of that on the on that LP? Like, damn.
Stan, I am whoever you say I am. When he flipped the Rakim joint, Rakim is another one too that's able to do like those types of haunting joints. But
you do it in a more prophetic way, very cool. How Rock. I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah, because he did that on the 18th letter. I think the song was like Mystery or Who Is God, and he was talking about the creation of the universe, but it kind of gave you this weird vibe about it. So it was very to the point of what you're saying about the ambient. No, I think the Eminem show, I think it was a little bit cleaner, than the Marshall Mathers LP, but cleaning out my closet. But like you brought up with Stan, creepy, damn near Hannibal Lecter levels, and I think he's been able to do that. Eminem does have some of the better storytelling capabilities.
I prefer when he slows down.
Yeah.
Cleaning out my closet on Eminem show, or even talk about Stan with the Marshall Mathers LP. I don't like when he do that Speedy Gonzalez stuff. I mean, like, it's nice, wordplay and all that, but it doesn't beat when he slows things down. And like, I personally feel the Eminem show is a better, darker theme overall album, and a dark psychological thriller album.
Well,
more so than the Eminem show, only because of the campy parts of it.
The Eminem show there was some surrealism there, and the reason why the Eminem show is, I think it's one of his stronger psychological think pieces, is because look what he was saying. He was essentially speaking from the vantage point of almost like a puppet. Like look when he opened the track up with White America. I think that's one of Eminem's best records, White America. And he's like, look, it's rigged, right? It's fake. I'm white. I got blue eyes. My hair's blonde. I'm going to play into it. You guys know what it is. You know what it is, right? So let's get down to it. And even some of the more psychological things, because the Eminem show also talks about, there's this grand pop star, but then he goes deeper into vulnerability. But behind this pop star, I got mama issues,
child abuse.
I got family issues, child abuse, right? And Eminem's life is set up like a horror film, okay? It is. It's set up like a horror film.
That's
on the Eminem show.
The
So
Eminem show was a grown man,
like
actually writing a full story. There was still little boy antics and gimmicky things. You get what I'm saying? But like, it's a part of the era and time. But I do think that Stan track is just so powerful. I think it keeps the Marshall Mathers LP alive.
Yeah. So, I just think, I would like to see just a little bit more. I just would like to see more creativity. Like I don't mind the melodics, but I do get bored with them a lot of times. The harmonies, I get it. We mastered the harmonies. You mean
like the Don Toliver, Playboy Cardi, Travis Scott vibe sounds? Because Future goes into a lot of. He's like one of the kings of the vibe stuff. That you getting tired of that?
I just feel like sometimes with the production, there's some parts of me that it is monotonous. I like when you listen to Life After Death and you like, I'm not saying like you guys have to do an opus like that, but I don't feel like we should sound like we're avoiding making masterpieces too. And I kind of feel like a lot of the stuff that we kind of hear, or even when we're breaking these things down, it's kind of like, are we doing vibe, mood of the day situations, which there is a place for that. But after a while, it's just, I just would like to see the lane open up. I do believe, though, Kenny Mason is going to really shine because he can do the same level of intricate melodics as Playboy Cardi. He even has a better voice. He can do a lot of different things, but he really has incredible storytelling abilities that he's able to balance the both of it.
But you know this, being from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Future don't give you that high level quality unless he's mad. And he only been, the most upset he's been is only 2 times. When Dirty Sprite 2 came out with the him and Sierra breaking up, and then when We Don't Trust You, when him and Drake temporarily broke up. And that's when he gives you peak storytelling. Because people can say what they want. Dirty Sprite 2 was not just about ass shaking. He did a lot of storytelling on Dirty Sprite 2. He also did a lot of storytelling even on We Don't Trust You.
Yeah, he does. Future's kind of like, what do they say? He's already goated already. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, we're starting to see people shift like the overt attention to some of the newer guys, and then some of the ones that are in the mid tiers too, that they've kind of been here for a while and they don't really have a classic or they don't have a masterpiece. They're just kind of like feature run, here's my album, feature run, here's my album. So no, I do look, if because you brought up a good point about jazz. Look, that's what I listen to primarily is jazz. And at times when you're listening to rap music and hip hop, and it's cool, there's a lot of dope guys out there, dope women out there as well. But like I said, we can be honest, like, come on, like some people clearly being lazy.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I do agree with you. I want
just kind of pick it up a little bit.
First of all, he has an album coming out called The Real Me. I really hope we get what we got with We Don't Trust You and Dirty Sprite 2. I know the themes are not going to be the same because Dirty Sprite 2 breaking up with, Sierra, and then We Don't Trust You had to deal with Drake and other things. But The Real Me, since we know that Future has the capability to go in his storytelling bag, I hope he does that for this one. Because, he does have a special talent of mixing vibe with storytelling. Unfortunately, when he's actually peak at his emotions. But I am interested to see if he can give this to us again where he has maybe a more relaxed life like right now. Because he did at the beginning of his career, even before we get to Dirty Sprite 2, he was able to give us some of that type of haunting storytelling even early in his career too. So I do hope that he gets in his bag, mix that in there.
Yeah. I mean, he did Future. I think he did Hendrix. I Never Liked You. He had some pretty good albums where he wasn't necessarily breaking up with a Scorpio, because Sierra and then him and Drake had that temporary split, and now they're back, making music again. So he has had it. He does a good job of kind of creating those very dark ambient vibes. He definitely changed the game behind that on that one. And I remember when he came out, and I remember hearing this stuff in the streets, moving around and stuff. And at first, they were kind of dismissing him as like a Lil Wayne clone, and this was the era where Wayne was doing a lot of auto tune. So Wayne had went into like this vibe music space for a moment, and he kind of toned down the lyricism. So when Future came out, I saw a lot of people online saying, "Oh man, he's just like a Wayne clone. He Wayne baby." And I actually used to have to tell guys, I said, "No, they don't sound. They're two completely different guys."
Yeah, I know you was defending Future, but I also I felt like 56 Nights really helped distinguished him.
Yes.
Of course, Dirty Sprite 2 really like cemented him in history for hip hop. But 56 Nights, I felt really was like, oh, okay, this guy does have a different vibe. It's not to say that, because Future is influenced by Lil Wayne, but he's also influenced by Outkast and Andre 3000, and he comes, like you said, from the Dungeon family. So he's influenced by a lot of people. He's influenced by Jimi Hendrix. I do think 56 Nights was something that really started to make people realize, like, no, this guy, he does have something special here.
Yes, no. So we'll see. Now, like I said, between Future, Drake, who else? And I'm just saying, particularly when that space, Young Thug at one point in time, he was going in and out with a lot of different things. Now, when Young Thug does go into like when he's focused, and I always said this about Thug, he really needs to have like a concept. If you don't have a concept, Young Thug is like he just freestyling on a lot of stuff, even with the harmonics and stuff. But when he did Raw off of Slime Season 2, it sounded like Michael Myers. It sounded like something crazy. He's playing with his voice. Because even when he kind of came out around that time, you saw having compare and contrast, and Young Thug distorts his voice a lot more than Future does. Future does his voice, he does vocal distortion, but he's got such a gritty voice, a gritty blues voice, because a lot of stuff with Future kind of lends into like postmodern contemporary blues a lot of times. He kind of makes a lot of blues music, to be honest with you, low key, Stagger Lee. But
I agree. That's a great phrasing.
Yeah, and Thug actually kind of reminds me of Carnage a lot. There's Venom, then there's Carnage. So when he's at his best, he's distorting his voice frequencies on crazy different shifts,
And I know we're about to end this, but someone we gotta bring up in this. Ye is such a big factor.
Yes,
because of 808 Heartbreaks.
No, you're right about that. Yes,
808 Heartbreaks, and you gotta give credit to T-Pain and Kid Cudi too, because 808 Heartbreaks was so groundbreaking. That album really influenced a lot of artists. It was haunting. It was beautiful. It influenced, in a lot of ways, Drake. It influenced Future. And then, of course, you cannot forget, like you said, Lil Wayne is a major factor when it comes to vibe music. I will also say Ye is a major influence on vibe music. Definitely, because that 808 Heartbreaks. It really, like... It really... It's basically... It's what... created this whole new wave that we got right now. It's a very important album in hip-hop, 808 Heartbreaks. Very important. And I do think, people should definitely give Kid Cudi his credit for that. And T-Pain, because it's a very haunting, like even the features with Lil Wayne himself and Jeezy and all that. And oh my God, the end of it with Pinocchio.
Yeah, no, you're right about
it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be a real boy. Like, come on. That was like...
It's a good album.
He was the Pinocchio when he was talking about losing his mom. It's a real good album.
Well, people sleep on remember the Coldest Summer track. And if I recall, I think that was Leanna Lewis running through the video. The video was creepy, but it was a part of it. And 808 Heartbreaks has a quiet... R.L. Stein, Stephen King type vibe to it. It's got a very dark vibe on the back end. It appears soft. It appears like even at one point in time when, you know, the hip hop rappers, when a lot of rappers heard it at the time, they were like trying to make the album sound like it was flimsy or all this other stuff. But when you listen to it, it is a very emotional, dark album. You
can't get Utopia and the best of Trevor Scott work isn't inspired.
No, you're right about that. I know people go to Yeezus and they're like, oh, that was the turn. I actually think it was 808 Heartbreak.
Yes.
I think that was the turn because we're not in teddy bear land no more. You know, it's an album. It's grief and anger. It's anguish. It's a lot of stuff. So yeah, no, you're right about that. Kanye West, he's still running today. He's still doing it today. Bully, he's still having a crazy run. You know, that video, the King video, where you got the little demon and gargoyle on the side. Everything about this video looks creepy. I like the video, but it all looks creepy to me, though.
Well, eventually, you know, there's some people on our Patreon say, when y'all gonna get the Bully, when y'all gonna get the Kirby. There's a lot of albums we gotta do. We still gotta even review Wale and all that. But also, I want to say I also love the other aspects of hip hop too, because Wale is still putting out great music and he doesn't do the sound. He doesn't do the dark emo goth or alternative hip hop. He does do like the farthest he goes is like the ambient R&B aspect that he adds into his music that I really love. And we're going to talk about other aspects of hip hop as well. But this episode was about dystopic, apocalyptic, horror, and all the artists we named goes into that in various different ways and all that. You know, I even think on Good Kid, Mad City, if Pyrus and Crips all got along, they probably gun me down by the end of this song. That track was crazy.
No, you're right about that. And Kendrick was living tales of horror, you know, tales from the hood, you know, and was able to do incredible cinema. Again, it was being compromised, or it was being compared to. It was comparable to Ice Cube's earlier two bodies of work, Death Certificate and America's Most Wanted, which if we go back and you listen to it, because you brought up Ice Cube, if we go back and listen to America's Most Wanted and Death Certificate, the horrors of America, you know, so yeah, absolutely, you know, this, you know, again, I'm just, when I hear rap, I am judging through a different lens. I'm just thinking about,
in there?
Yeah. The Game, I do think The Game is an interesting point because... Is there
any album that stands out to you that fits in what we're talking about with this contemporary?
I would say Doctor's Advocate, his second one. It was a play on The Devil's Advocate, and he is detached from Lucifer. You know, he's not Keanu Reeves with Al Pacino. He's been removed out of the circle, but he's also talking about still having to battle the demons. In fact, when he was beefing with his brother Big Face 100... he even talked about when they was, you know, there was supposed to be shootouts. What was the song? If I can only spend one night with you. That record. He said, what did he say? Angels over his tombstone, but he says the devil's playing inside of your box. And he was talking about, you know, if he dies, that, you know, the angels will be resting with him. And he said his odds when they die, the devil's going to be playing with their soul in their box. And I always thought that moment of Game where he was like at his level of despair, I think he is an excellent narrator of horror, you know.
So we talk about The Game, Ice Cube, Kendrick. Also like to add Kendrick even cartoons and cereal. I wish he would collaborate with some Floridians again, because that track was high. I would even say with Snoop, there were aspects of him, of course, Tupac. I feel like the whole run Tupac had with the West Coast was all of that energy we're talking about. It's like sometimes it was Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Hood, because he'd be like, yo, shorty, like, let's go out, hang out and all that. Then it'll turn prophetic. Then like it turned like all different type of avenues with, Me Against the World, all the way to even when we're talking about the Illuminati.
You're right about that. And Tupac always kind of had like that energy on him. It really takes off with Me Against the World with like tracks like Death Around the Corner. And then you get to the one of the more iconic tracks for him is Staring at the World Through My Rear View. Tupac was the master of paranoia and psychology. That is something where his Gemini brother shared in common. Both Biggie Smalls and Tupac, and unfortunately for them, it was marked off with their early demise. But what is kind of to your point, what is a little bit of it's a bit gothic to know we can revisit. What is it like to hear the thoughts of men that they felt they were already dead, or they felt they knew they weren't going to live long enough to either have children, because Pac didn't have any, and then two, Biggie was rapping from the perspective he knew he wasn't going to see his daughter graduate. So I always thought that was interesting. It's kind of like, not trying to be funny or morbid here, but we kind of speaking of it, but it's like when you ever read like the soldier's final letter to his wife, or you read a prison inmate's final journal entry on the day of their execution. I've kind of felt like when I listened to Life After Death or All Eyes on Me, or even, more so 7 Day Theory, because 7 Day Theory got a different vibe than All Eyes on Me. All Eyes on Me is like, it's partying, we cutting up, we hitting the streets of California, but 7 Day Theory is like, no, it's like I'm going to crash out, or he may not finish the rest of the life.
Well, that's why it's DMX. I know we keep saying we're about to wrap it up. I mean,
we about to wrap it up. Right?
About to go to the next thing, but DMX was actually also the opposite. It was very weird with him. He's like, I'm alive again. Wow. Like, it's just like his letters would be like, day 1,000 something. I'm alive again. I pray to God. Wow.
God is good. God is real good. You know what I mean? God is real good. No, yeah, that's all. Like, I think
shocked to still be here.
Yeah, and I think Life After Death is one of the best magnum opus in hip hop. I really think the writing on that album is incredible. Not all the time I like to revisit. 7 Day Theory is one of my favorite rap albums, but not all the time do I feel like journeying the psychology of a soul that knew they were going to not be here long.
Too much PTSD. That's actually one of the reasons why you feel a certain type of way about Biggie's debut album.
Yes. Yeah.
I like the album, but sometimes I cannot because it's a bit too much at times. It really is.
Look at y'all can see Sin's eyes.
But I think that's why, though, at the same time, I gotta be honest, that's why the album fits so well with Star Wars.
Yes.
And
the tragedy, Anakin.
They didn't put that with the Jedis.
No,
they put
it with the Sith.
They put it with the Sith.
The Sith.
Last words on this topic, Prince.
I definitely would like to continue. We're gonna do some more further deep dives. Hopefully this will spark conversations with people in chat. What have been some of your favorite albums, artists that touched on things from where things were with Biggie Smalls to, I know some people are huge NWA fans, the earlier works in the 90s, late 80s, all the way to where we are, even with Drake, Cole, and Kendrick, and then respectfully the people that came in between. So yeah, hopefully you guys maybe they'll trigger some conversations for you all.
We appreciate y'all. This is Thought Crimes, and we are out.
Peace.
I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow.
Oh my God, who's this?
And I sing and I sing
Sensational.
Thought Crimes. Thought Crimes.
We are all the same. We are all the same. More group
Coming through your airwaves. All right, now I'm here to kick the ballistics. Check out Thought Crimes. Are you following me? Coming through your airwaves. Coming through your airways. You ain't gonna get me with that one.